season. We know she was dealing with a lot coming off our national championship game, entering the WNBA. Big time transition. I understand that. But we also have to hold these WNBA referees accountable because they played a big factor in the assault Caitlin Clark took for the 2024 season because they did not call a bunch of calls that should have been fouls, bro.
The WNBA referee crisis is getting out of control, and Caitlin Clark's rookie season is at the heart of it. I'm about to show you footage that will completely change how you see the league. From unfair technical fouls to obvious missed calls, it's happening too often to ignore. Even if Indiana upgrades its roster with star players and top-tier coaching, none of it will matter if the officiating remains this inconsistent. What you're about to see will leave you questioning everything. Stay tuned.
Yeah, we know the Indiana Fever front office did everything they had to do, put the right pieces around Caitlin Clark, make sure they make it far in the playoffs, and possibly get a WNBA champ.
Caitlin Clark's experience is revealing issues that go beyond just one player. The inconsistencies in officiating and the challenges she's facing are exposing deeper problems within the league. If these issues aren't addressed, they could impact not just her career, but the future of the entire WNBA.
Prime example, what really made me start thinking about this was what's the DJ Carrington situation. They didn't call nothing on that for her poking Caitlin Clark in the eye, and that really had me thinking like, damn, how many times did they actually, drop the ball and didn't call stuff against Caitlin?
Have you ever watched a basketball game and felt like the refs had it out for one player? That's exactly what happened to Caitlin Clark last season, and the evidence speaks for itself. From the moment she entered the WNBA, viewership hit record highs, drawing more attention than ever before. But with all eyes on Clark, the way her games were officiated started raising serious questions.
Caitlin got called for a technical for hitting the back of the backboard, but somebody viciously clotheslined her. We're not getting a call for that. And I just wondered if they would have done it a little different, just start calling stuff for people assaulting Caitlin Clark, that would have kind of minimized the pressure and minimized the assault I believe she would have took for the 2024 season. And going into this new season, once again, they're held responsible, bro.
The narrative around Caitlin Clark's rookie season focused on her adjusting to the physicality of the WNBA, but that only tells part of the story. Game after game, referees ignored clear fouls. She absorbed hard contact on drives, got shoved on jump shots, and was repeatedly bumped off the ball without a call. Remember that offensive foul on June 13th against Seattle? Clark made a routine dribble move, yet the whistle blew. Even the commentators were stunned. "I'm not seeing a foul there," one said as the replay showed little to no contact.
Second personal, let's take a look.
I think we ought to be able to see it from this angle. I don't see how that's an offensive foul to me.
Now, that was called an offensive foul on Caitlin Clark. Do we all remember that play? How was that an offensive foul, bro? How remotely is this right here an offensive foul, dog? How? Like, I'm just not getting that. But that was the call that was put on Caitlin Clark.
This wasn't just an isolated incident. It became a clear pattern. Game after game, it felt like the referees were calling her differently. Watching her season unfold, it was hard to shake the feeling that Clark was being singled out. When you compare the footage, the contrast is obvious. Star players like Aja Wilson and Breanna Stewart made the same moves and got the benefit of the doubt, while Clark often found herself on the wrong end of the whistle.
I am not letting up on them damn WNBA referees because they are the biggest haters when it comes to Caitlin Clark, bro. I know we got haters everywhere, but nobody is worse than these WNBA referees.
Defenders knew they had more leeway when guarding Clark, and they took full advantage. They bumped her on drives, stepped into her landing space on jump shots, and kept a hand on her at all times, all without drawing whistles. The lack of calls didn't just make her job harder. It sent a message that the usual rules didn't apply when she had the ball.
Unnecessary. Kennedy Carter.
Seattle, and all of a sudden, we're pretty close. This has been as close as it's been all second quarter long, 44.
Given how often Clark had the ball and attacked the rim, she should have been at the free throw line far more. Yet, she averaged just 3.7 attempts per game, shockingly low for a player with her offensive role. Other rookies with similar styles and shot attempts earned nearly twice as many free throws, while Clark was repeatedly denied calls that should have been automatic. The numbers don't lie. She wasn't getting the same treatment. The impact went far beyond just the stats. Adjusting to a faster, more physical league is already a challenge, but dealing with inconsistent officiating adds another layer of difficulty. When the calls aren't fair, it affects everything: your confidence, your decision-making, and your rhythm on the court. As the season went on, the issue only got worse. Once defenders saw they could get away with extra contact, they took full advantage, knowing the whistles simply weren't coming.
Because there was also a stat that came out a few weeks ago that said Caitlin Clark received 17% of the WNBA's flagrant fouls this season, and 80% of those flagrant fouls were committed by the Chicago Sky against.
What Caitlin Clark faced wasn't just unfair, it became outright dangerous. And that's not an exaggeration. There's clear footage of her getting knocked to the floor on a drive, with no whistle, no foul, nothing. How does something like that happen at the highest level of women's basketball? It raises serious questions about the league's officiating. Let me show you exactly what went down.
But when you have the face of your league getting nearly 20% of all flagrant fouls called against her, that is an issue. And that's not just an issue that the players have to work out. That is from top down. That goes to the commissioner level. Like, that is the level that needs to control these kinds of things.
If you watch the games closely, it's obvious. Clark was playing under a completely different set of rules. One moment stands out more than most. She drove hard to the basket and got completely knocked down. The impact was so blatant that even the commentators couldn't hold back, immediately reacting with, "That's a foul," in total disbelief. But the refs, they didn't make a single call. They just stood.
They're going to pick up Caitlin Clark from the second she touches the basketball. That's what Burton did there. All over Caitlin. Wow. That's a foul.
This wasn't just an occasional missed call. It became a troubling pattern. In one game alone, Clark was knocked to the floor 3 different times without drawing a single foul. It was like watching someone walk a tightrope with no safety net. Fans at home saw it all happen in real time, shouting at their screens in frustration, wondering how the officials kept letting it slide.
Flip out again. She's coming down the court. Wow. It looked like Morena did that to her, bro. But that's what I'm talking about. On this page stated, this has been pretty much the whole game. No call fouls for Caitlin Clark. The WNBA and their officials now know how to screw up a good thing.
You can see Caitlin comes off a screen here. She dribbles back to her right hand, and then she's going for the pass to Aaliyah Boston when Dejanay jumps up, seemingly looking to try to steal the ball, and then hits her in the face. Caitlin is on the ground, the ball goes in the opposite direction, and the Connecticut Sun score. The internet doing what the internet does, they found a second angle to this play, and this is where a lot of fans were saying that this was intentional. It's in slow motion, as you can see here. Dejanay is going up for the ball. She misses, and then her hand bends down like this and goes straight into Caitlin's.
Tag on this will say, how can the WNBA justify these referees? Caitlin Clark gets blatantly fouled twice, no call. I guess that's the playoffs, but these are bad.
Need to protect your superstars, and the WNBA has not done well this entire season of protecting their one superstar who brought in more eyeballs than anyone else has ever done in the league. She should have a special whistle. Calls like this should be made, should be reviewed. People should know right off the bat, it shouldn't be the first round of the playoffs that players think that they can still do this kind of thing to Caitlin Clark, to Angel. Not calling some of these fouls and not cracking down on some of these cheap shots and hard fouls that are so excessive, not only against Caitlin Clark, but against other players as well. You see compilations of them online. Not cracking down on these are going to turn people off to watching the WNBA, and it's not going to allow the league to grow and people to be more excited in players other than.
It's Clark, 3 to shoot. Gonna have to hoist from the logo. In air ball. And Clark wanted a foul. Felt like Bonner ran into her. But a shot clock violation. Now Bonner and Clark get into it.
Oh, this is what the people was talking about with DeWanna Bonner.
Oh, yeah. No foul was called. It's Clark, 3 to shoot.
I forgot about this one. This one, Caitlin Clark got a tech, I think.
They got it on Caitlin Clark. Not go against Boston. That's a.
Oh no, this was the flop. Yes, I remember this. This right here was the biggest flop ever.
Way too much separation.
Yeah, she flopped on that when it got.
No, it reminded me of the technical that I got in college where I said, damn it, where it's like a personal frustration. Had nothing to do with my team, had nothing to do with their reffing, had nothing to do with other team. It was just because I'm a competitor and I felt like I should have been making more shots. So, but I think he fired me up to continue to play a lot harder. I thought we got a lot better after he did that. So I want to thank him for that.
Technical for smacking the backboard. At the end of the day, the only problem the Fever have going into the 2025 season is the WNBA referees at this point. They got to be held accountable, and I will watch every move they make.
Thing, you guys, and it might be controversial, but there has been a lot of talk about a special whistle that certain players in the WNBA get and some players don't. But I think that this is something, again, that we can compare to the NBA. Superstars are going to get a special whistle, and they should get a special whistle. Do you know why? Because at the end of the day, it's not just the sport, it's the entertainment of the sport, and you need to protect your superstars.